Now, this is probably one of the most difficult questions that anyone will ever ask you politically, but I want you to take the time right now in the comments before the video begins to actually write out 1 to 5 or 1 to 3 who your most hated politicians are here in Canada. And I know at the top of the list, there's going to be Justin Trudeau, Jagmeet Singh, and Freeland. And there's a massive argument to say maybe Jagmeet should actually be at the top of the list because he's the one that is actually holding Canada back from having an election, but Freeland is not so innocent either. But I want you guys to take the time and write down in the comments because that's kind of the top 3, or at least the top 5, those 3 politicians. And today we're going to be taking a look at Freeland just absolutely getting destroyed with her little Mr. Speaker nonsense. It's humiliating. There's something that's wrong with the structure of her face when she's talking publicly. Now, I don't like to go out of my way and make fun of people's physical appearances, but when you're a politician, you're on camera all the time. Why do you always look like you're smelling farts? It doesn't make any sense. Come on, snap out of it, lady. Now, does that, impede on your ability to do your job? I don't think so, but it just looks very weird, and it's kind of concerning. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I want to encourage everyone to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't yet already. We're on route to 100,000 subscribers here on House of Canada. The only way we're going to get there is if you, the community, actually hits that subscribe button. And while you're there, you might as well hit that little bell icon that shows up once you are subscribed so you can actually be notified of videos as well as, or more importantly, the live streams of question periods that are resuming in 7 to 10 days or something like that. Without further ado, here we go. Enjoy the clip, and I look forward to reading the comments to see how you guys rank your most hated politicians here in Canada in order.
Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, since we're asking questions of MPs, I have a
why she can't answer?
Leader of the opposition. I'd like to know how much heating
That's interesting.
19-room government mansion that he lives in costs. That would be interesting for Canadians to understand. And, the good news for Canadians is we're helping them with the cost of heating with the carbon rebate. So I want to know, did his family cash their carbon rebate check? It's almost $1,000.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
I can tell the member that I pay for my own vacations and that of my family.
There you go. Drop a W in the chat for Pierre.
Canadians who pay for their own vacations are also paying too much for food. We have a bill, a common sense conservative bill, C-2,
3, 4.
It would take the carbon tax off the farmers that feed us and the consumers that desperately need to put nutrition on their table. Will the Prime Minister stop blocking the bill, pass this law so that Canadians can afford food?
Something's going on with my dog. I'll be right back, everyone.
Prime Minister and Minister.
Hold the fort down.
Mr. Speaker, people who live in glass houses really should not throw stones. And the Leader of the Opposition may be bragging about what he pays for, but I think Canadians should understand he doesn't pay any rent on that 19-room mansion that he lives in. In fact, he's been on the government payroll for more than 20 years, and he qualified for a full pension at 35, Mr. Speaker. And now he wants to take the rebates away from Ontario families. $1,000 a year, he wants to take that away.
That was great.
The Honourable Member for... Mr. Speaker, we've already heard Conservative hypocrisy. Now we are hearing Conservative alarmism. So let's set the facts straight. The reality is Canada's public finances are sustainable, and that's not me talking. That is the credit ratings agencies, which have awarded Canada a AAA rating. It doesn't get better than that. But the real question Canadians need to ask themselves is what would the Conservatives cut in their reckless and ideological pursuit of austerity? We've heard about them from healthcare. That's the first place they would go to make cuts.
The Honourable Member from Calgary Forest Lawn.
Well, first we're going to cut the amount of Liberal seats in this House and replace them with a common sense...
He said the thing.
Here is Finance Minister some free
Drop some W's in the chat, folks.
Why don't they cut woke policies like an axe the carbon tax to bring down the cost of gas, groceries, and home heating, and pass Bill C-234 for our farmers? Why don't they cut the $20 billion this Prime Minister gives to Liberal consultants to cover up the incompetency by his own cabinet? After 8 years, we all know this Prime Minister is not worth the cost. When will the Liberals fix the budget to bring down inflation and interest rates already?
Wow.
Prime Minister.
That was incredible.
I'll tell you one thing we know they would cut for sure, because that's what their votes during the marathon voting session showed. They would
tax
shamefully our support for Ukraine.
Tax. They would cut tax.
Ukraine.
Taxes. The Conservatives want to spend more donating to Ukraine than the Liberals do. They want to cut the tax here in Canada.
Why do they support Putin? Have they no shame?
They do not. The Conservatives are very vocal about their support for Ukraine. It pisses a lot of people off, but that's the fact.
The Honourable Member for BOMBSHELL. Mr. Speaker.
Let's try and get to 1,500 likes. Everyone, smash that like button.
Inflation has
grab a coffee.
reached a record level. The debt has doubled. The government has never budgeted a single budget, has never balanced a single budget. And it's completely supported by the Bloc Québécois. Now, we, the Conservatives, would balance the budget by getting rid of liberal waste, like, for example, the $54 million spent on ArriveCan. Will the Prime Minister admit that this is all his fault? And will he let common sense Conservatives take over? Before asking the Deputy Prime Minister to answer, I would just like to remind us that the Chair has already made a statement about associating any political party with a completely unacceptable regime. That is very important to maintain decorum and respect in this House, so that we don't associate any political party with unacceptable regimes. The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to public finances, it's very important to be clear and tell Canadians the truth. And for that reason, it's important to quote objective authorities like credit agencies, which continue to give Canada a AAA credit rating. My question for the Conservatives, that all Canadians and Quebecers should ask: what will the Conservatives cut because of their austerity ideology? Yesterday, the Minister of Heritage said that the federal government might offer more financial support to CBC, but CBC just announced that it will be laying off 600 people. Several analysts agree that these cuts that Catherine Tate, the CEO, decided on are premature and unfair to the Francophone network. Will the Minister demand that Radio-Canada puts an end to this unfortunate decision before giving it access to more funding? The Honourable Minister of Heritage. Mr. Speaker, the CEO of CBC Radio-Canada said very clearly that these cuts had to do with the current financial situation of the public broadcaster. We know that Radio-Canada is very important in Quebec, and that is why we are currently looking at how we can better support CBC Radio-Canada so that it's sustainable in the long term, not just for this fiscal year, but long term. Of course, my goal is to protect jobs within Radio-Canada and within CBC. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Drummond. Well, I think that answer shows that we have the same goal to preserve jobs. I think that demanding that the 600 jobs be kept at Radio-Canada would be the least of things before giving the broadcaster more money. And it's also a matter of fairness to private broadcasters who are struggling even more. Bell and TVA have had to lay off many people, hundreds of people. And the Meta News block is also undermining our media. So yes, we need to support Radio-Canada as long as jobs are protected, but will the Minister also do her homework and help all of our broadcasters and media?
Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes.
The past president.
Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes.
The past president of the
India's at it again.
Slush Fund shocked committee last night when she revealed that the government was warned of blatant conflicts of interest. The Prime Minister isn't worth the cost of his corrupted billion-dollar green slush fund. The minister claimed that he learned in 2023, but we now know that the ministry was informed in 2019. After 8 years, Canadians can't believe a word from this NDP Liberal government.
Right.
So why is it that this minister chose to mislead Canadians?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Labour and Seniors.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let's be clear. As soon as we found out these allegations, the Department of I said acted quickly. The Minister of Innovation has already accepted the resignation of the CEO and chair. We take these allegations extremely serious, which is why we're doing proper due diligence. Our government is committed to ensuring that organizations would receive federal funding adhere to the highest standards of governments. We are committed to get to the bottom of these allegations. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.